Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're going to go ahead and open up our city council meeting for today, and it's 6 o'clock. So at this time, would everyone please stand for a moment of silence? Thank you. I would like Councilman Showalter, if you will lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if we have a roll call, please.
Mr. Allen. Mrs. Wilkins Brent. Mrs. Butcher Conway.
Present.
Mrs. Hambrick. Present. Mr. Hampton. Here. Mr. Showalter. Here. Mr. Stone.
Here.
Mrs. Tuckett.
Here.
Just a reminder to make sure you're turning on your microphones. Sorry.
We have the minutes from last meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Have made a motion and properly second. Are there questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Please show raise of hands if you have received the check registry. And it said that everyone has received it. Thank you. At this time, we have public comments. I want to remind you again, let's be very respectful of your time. You hit 4 minutes, one time. And please speak into the microphone. Give us your name so we can have it for record. We're asking you again to please be here to the 4 minutes that we'll allow you to do so. And if we have ones, I'll get the list and we'll start. Thank you, Chief. Tom Combs.
Congress. Got high hopes, right? My name is Tom Combs. I'm with the Kiwanis Club of Scott County, and I have submitted an event application along with the certificate of liability insurance to permit us and allow us to conduct the 4th of July parade this year on Tuesday, July 4th. So I've been coordinating this parade for like the last 10 years. And as in past years, the request is to convert College Street into one-way beginning at 9:20 a.m. the day of the parade. That's the street in which we line all the parade participants on. And then it involves turning the street past Military and onto Main Street, with Main Street being closed down to traffic at 10:30 a.m. So this application is for approval for us to be able to do that.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Are there questions? All in favor say, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say likewise. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy Ferg Emerson.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
It's an honor to come and talk to you. And I want to tell you first and foremost, I like the ways and things that you're doing. I know that there's a lot of going back and forth now, and there's going to be people that say yay and nay to things. But one thing I want to say that's refreshing is that I see ideas and thoughts being considered more. And I think that's a great start. I know we don't always agree with everything that everybody does or says. And I know these days things can be challenged and things can be dismissed easily based on the party that you are or not party. But in this case, you're nonpartisan, right? So you have to think about these things. And the people like myself that come up, our comments might not always be nonpartisan. But one thing I want to talk about tonight is that I wanted to talk about the water rate hike. I know you have to make a decision about it. I understand it. I'm not here to tell you yay or nay on this matter. But what I'm going to tell you about this matter is that I want to give you a simple illustration. Imagine it's going to stop the wound, maybe not. It's going to address it, but eventually there's going to be some seepage there. It's not going to get down to the root of the issue. What we're dealing with and what you're dealing with now is a tremendous task. You have to try to figure out how you're going to correct a problem that went over an extended period of time. And that's just going to address the issue at hand. At the same time, we're also going through a time where we're deciding how we're going to do things up until 2040 on our comprehensive plan. So imagine like the people that are having to deal with the rate hikes, even yourself, you have to deal with it. You're not just paying for it, you also have to deal with it. Don't just think about the water rate hike. Think about other things that are going on. We have an amazing tool now, like that the Community Action Partnership has put together for the Bluegrass Ride. It's allowing people to go different places right now, free of fares, right? I know we can't make everything in life free for everybody, and I'm not here to say that. But what I'm saying is that bringing people to the table more, I think having a work session is great, but I think focus groups are also needed. Not just a citizen board, adding a citizen here and there and stuff. I think ongoing talks. Because if I've learned one thing, even before I tried to get into the election myself and try to make a difference, is that this place is going to keep growing. And if it's going to keep growing, guess what? We're going to have some growing pains with it. And if we have the fortitude to come up in areas and say, we've got to fix this problem now, and we've got to do certain things to address this, to bring in the funds we need and do things like that, we need to be able to talk about our growth. And we need to bring those people to the table. The Planning Commission, the people that represent community services, the people in government, the people that might potentially be sidetracked by this or thrown off. I think what we're seeing nowadays, not just with new administrations, is the fact that maybe some people that didn't pay attention to things are maybe paying attention to things a little bit more closely now because it's affecting them. And I understand that. But at the same time, I think we need to be more creative. So if we're going to decide on things, bring a first reading, second reading, and we're going to vote on it on that, we also need to be able to hold people accountable in ways. And what I mean by that is not saying you did this and you did this wrong. Let's come up with a plan. If we're going to have a 17-point percentage rate increase, and this is just for water. This isn't just about water. This is going to be somewhere down the line with stormwater, with energy, with the places that we have houses, and, just anything here. We're talking about stuff like that. Let's use that same sense of urgency in how we're planning for things. Let's move things forward like we are all wanting to see and all wanting to do. And that's just what I wanted to share tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Lane.
Good evening. It's really nice to be here in person. I've been tuning in for the last few weeks on Zoom, and thank you for having it on Zoom. My name's Kitty Lane. I've lived in Georgetown most of my life. I've raised my children here. I know many of you on the council here, and it's really nice to see your faces here and that you want to be involved in making some needed changes in our community. Two especially, Todd Stone and Bernie Jenkins, you had a huge impact on the life of my children. And I just have the utmost respect for both of you. I have a lot of confidence in the people that I see on the board, on our council here. and that they're going to make the community a place that serves the needs of all the people that live here. And they're willing to invest their time and energy into doing that. And I want to say, I want to be more a part of that as well. That's why I'm here today. And there's a lot of things that I think that are going on that I'd like to be involved in. But I would especially want to point out something today. Well, before I say that, last time, Willow, you mentioned something about an app that tells how people can be more involved. And I want that to be advertised, you know, the big billboard out as you're coming into town. I think, you know, when we say advertise, yeah, it's advertised, but I've been in marketing all my life. Get it to everybody. I mean, if everybody can be involved, make every possible way for them to be involved. Okay, but my time this evening, I want to focus on just one of the issues that's kind of near dear to my heart. At the last meeting, Mr. Showalter mentioned a comment. He made a comment, and it really struck a nerve with me. And it has to do with this whole issue about the former police chief. Okay, and I just want to make a kind of a comment about that. He mentioned that the police department was transformed. It was the best in the state. Someone had told him that the first 10 months of 2022, there were no written formal complaints by citizens of Georgetown against the GPD. There were 0 police brutality cases filed by citizens of Georgetown against the GPD. Now, first of all, I think it's sad that we think, you know, and he said that was big and that was impressive. And I think that's, first of all, I think it's sad that we live in a society where that's considered impressive. It should be the norm, but you know, that's where we're at in the world right now. Secondly, I'd like to pull back the curtain a little bit because I don't think that's necessarily accurate. And I want to illustrate that by a personal thing I experienced. This was back in 2015, and it was Chief Bossy was the chief of police then. It was August the 1st. My grandson had come back from Florida. My son picked us up at the airport, Cincinnati. We came back to Georgetown. We were getting haircuts for school at the barbershop on Payne Avenue. My son was in the barber chair. My grandson was sitting next to me playing a game on my phone. All of a sudden, my son stands up. He says, "Wow, they got a gun to his head." And everyone rushed out. What was happening was a motorcyclist had been apprehended by some police. He had a gun to his head. Everybody was out there with their cameras. That was the start of people starting to tape, you know, what was going on and such incidents. Anyway, the police was initially one, then 2 more cruisers came, then a state police came, then an ambulance came. And the police officers were trying to tell people to go back inside. There was just not the barbershop. There was a couple of other businesses there as well. So people started trickling back inside. At one point, my grandson, you know, ran by me. He said, "Nanny, you know, I got it on tape, you know." So a police officer said, "Are you taping this?" I said, "I just got my phone back from my grandson." But I had a strong feeling that I needed to continue to tape. Okay, so I did. And, but they kept asking me, you know, "Are you taping this? You know, why are you taping this? Da, 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 da." So anyway, eventually they asked me for my phone. And I said, "Well, get a warrant and I'll give you my phone." So eventually what happened is 2 officers threw me to the asphalt right there by my grandson. They threw me on the asphalt, handcuffed me, took the phone out of my pocket, ripped it out of my pocket, jerked me up, took me to the cruiser. I yelled for my grandson to go get his uncle. He came outside, and I'm glad I raised him right, because he's like, "Why are you, what purpose? Why do you have my mother in handcuffs? What, are you arresting her?" "No, we're detaining her because she's got evidence that we need." So anyway, long story short, my son does talk to him. They said, "Well, we're detaining her," and they did release me. I didn't receive my phone back for a while. When I did receive it back, it was things were erased on my phone. My camera was smashed. I did retain a lawyer, okay, to try to get, I wanted to address this. I was assaulted. I had, there's a newspaper article about it that came out with pictures and everything. Anyway, we had I had a lawyer on the case. First of all, he never could find a warrant. One was found a month or so later with no date on it, and there was a lot of misstatements that were not true about the whole situation as to why they got my phone. Anyway, I was given a settlement offer. I didn't want a settlement offer. I wanted to take the issue to court. Okay. Mysteriously, after I didn't accept the offer, my lawyer dropped my case. He said he couldn't take my case. I tried to retain other lawyers, couldn't get one. So, long story short, this is an example to me of something happening, a complaint made, but it's probably erased because nothing ever came of it. I feel like the police is complicit with the legal system in this matter. So Mr. Vincent Morris last week, I was really impressed with him. I don't know if he's here tonight, but I'd like to meet him. Sounds like he's doing a lot of good things. But he said, don't come with just complaints, come with solutions. So first of all, I'd like to just say, hey, two reasons why I bring this up. I bring it up because you mentioned last week that Todd and Willow, you are on a committee for the police. I believe this is something that we can't just say we have a great police force, we've transformed, and we have incidents like this happening because it's nationwide. We're not exempt from this. I've experienced it. When this happened, people reached out to me. The victim reached out to me and told me, hey, that whole scenario, it was worse than I realized. The man's leg was being held against the muffler of the motorcycle. They said it was a felony arrest. The man had no warrants out for him whatsoever. It was unnecessary. Okay, so anyway, the reason I bring it up, I want you all to really truly consider, that these things exist. Secondly, I believe, I had years ago, I had a,
Ms. Lane?
I'm finished?
Well, no, just,
I'll wrap it up.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, wrap it up. So, just, spend more funds, I think, on things to help people. That was the way that I'm trying to think, when I was told how to, change my diet, instead of just revamping everything, just slowly start putting more good food in your body. Well, let's slowly start putting funds and attention towards helping the people of Scott County in other ways. A few weeks ago, someone was just talking about the fear. We live on 75 and 64, and we just got to ramp up. I don't believe in that. So that was my 2 cents. Thank you.
Celeste Crowley?
Good evening. I came today, I was here last Monday, and I listened, and I took in. I'm really against the 10% discount on the water. We have a lot of government housing here in Georgetown. And if your water bill's $60, it's gonna be $6. That's not enough. I just feel like we need to really look at that, get some transparency. What's going on at the water company while we need all this? Is there ways we can cut? Is there anything we can cut? Look at it that way and see if there's any changes that we can make. So that's it. Thank you.
Are there anyone else who need to speak and have an opportunity to? Okay, thank you. Moving on right down on the agenda, some of my comments here's a couple of events that's coming up. And of course, as you know, this is Black History Month. We have an event moving forward that's going to be happening at Ed Davis Park this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Ed Davis. Also, if you all don't know, Ann Bevins, who's a book writer and also been a very instrumental historian here in Georgetown, Scott County, is having a book signing, and it's going to be an event that's open to the public. And that's going to be on the 19th, this Sunday. And also, last thing, on the 23rd, we have the George Washington Carver event on here at the library, which is an event to mark the life of George Washington Carver and his amazing contributions to history of Black America. So those are events that's going on. Moving right along, the councilman, you should have the schedule for the budget preparation. If you don't have those, please let us know, and we'll make sure that you get those. Those are set, and we are getting ready to start with that, the budget process, which is going to be tedious, and we're going to try to do the best we can to bring a budget that's going to be hopefully something that we all can live with and work with within what we're able to do. Now, next thing is the resolution for approving the regular schedule for council committee and traffic committee meetings. So you should already have those. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
I have a motion, just a second. Are there questions? A motion has been made and second. No questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that are opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. And we will get all of these out to the public. We will do it also through the newspaper as well as our media outlet, whether it be our Facebook page and our website. Next thing is the executive order approving board appointments. These appointments, I have about 6 of them, so I'm going to go these one in order, and then we'll obtain a motion to those. Effectively, immediately, LaRonda Smith is appointed by the mayor of the city of Georgetown to be Building Inspection Appeals Board. This term shall qualify as Smith's first term and shall expire on December 31st, 2026. May I have a motion to accept this appointment?
I'll make a motion.
Are there a second?
A second.
Are there questions? All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Next, effective immediately, Matthew Marshall is appointed by the mayor of the city of Georgetown to the Building Inspection Appeals Board. This term shall qualify as Marshall's first term and shall expire on December 31st, 2026. May I have a motion to accept this appointment?
Motion.
Motion is made. Second?
Second.
Properly second. Are there questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those are opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Next appointment, effective immediately, Vincent Morris is reappointed to the Georgetown Scott County Code Enforcement Board. This term shall expire on December 31st, 2025. Yeah, well-
Excuse me, Mayor, it's appointed, not reappointed.
Okay, appointed, Sermon.
That actually is a reappointment, so that's my error. So I'll fix the.
It is,
It's a reappointment, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the original document did say appointed. The ones that are broken out that I had Tracy print today does say reappointed. So just so y'all know, he's a repeat person on that board.
May I have a motion on the reappointment of Mr.
Motion, Mayor.
Second?
Second.
A motion is made and properly a second. Are there questions? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Effective immediately, Alan Halsey to be appointed by the mayor of the city of Georgetown to the Georgetown Scott County Airport Board. This term shall expire on December 31st, 2026. This is a joint appointment with the Scott County Judge Executive. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Second? Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly a second. Are there questions? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those are opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Effective immediately, Harold Dean Jesse is appointed by the mayor for the city of Georgetown to the Georgetown Scott County Planning Commission. This term shall qualify as Jesse's first term and shall expire December 31st, 2026. May I have a motion to accept the appointment?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, first of all, question. Are there a question? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Is that one no? Two. Excuse me. So we had 6 affirm and 2 against. The motion carries. Next appointment, effective immediately. Michael Chris is reappointed by the mayor of the city of Georgetown to be the Georgetown Board of Adjustments. This term shall qualify as Chris' first full term, previously filled an unexpired term, and shall expire on December 31st, 2026.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion is made.
I'll second, Mayor.
Have a properly a second.
Second.
Other questions? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Motion carried. Those are all the appointments that are made at this time.
May I have a question?
Yes.
It'd be good, and I know I'm new to the board, to the council, and just the process for the board appointments, that would be good to be able to review. We don't have to do it tonight, but I would just like to know what's the process for the board appointments.
I guess I can go and answer that. So the board appointment is that everyone who wants to apply for a board or so on, we have in the past have been trouble getting people to actually want to serve on anything. So what we did was we put it out on our webpage that anyone who wanted to apply and had some credentials, then they would fill out a form. We took that form and we have a stack from that. And then we went through those forms and then made those appointments. And we made everybody do that. So it was not like I go out and just ask somebody to be on the board. They have to go through the process. And we have to have documentation. And also this will be used for later for, like say, next year, if I have to make an appointment, then I can look at those people who have applied and go from that.
Mayor, I believe it, if it appeases the rest of the council, I believe it would be a good idea for the council to have a list of all the boards and all the members of those boards and when their terms begin and expire. If we could have that information.
Yes, sir. I will make sure you get that.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay. Next, we have council committee reports, and we had 2 committee meetings during this time was police and fire. So I will let the police go first, and I think Councilman Willow Hambrick will take her.
Todd and I met with Chief All good, there you are. And had a good meeting. Recruitment of police officers and the need for police officers was a primary focus of our discussion. Basically, even though we had given modest raises, we're now behind Fayette County and other surrounding counties by as much as, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, $10,000 to $13,000 based on the other financial amounts that they're giving. And we need to keep that in mind because we are having difficulty recruiting at this point. Would you like to address that a little bit, Chief? I think it would be important for people to know where we stand, because I know we've lost a few and gained a few, but where we are at this point, I think the public would be interested in knowing.
So currently we have, tomorrow after we swear one in, we'll have 61 out of 67 slots. As far as recruiting, we've put it out on our webpage, our Facebook, it goes out on Indeed. Used to in the years past, you're able to get a lot of people to apply. But, the past few years, we've seen the numbers drop drastically. I'll give you an example. The most recent, we had 20 people that were interested. Now, they're not sworn officers. So we looked at them, and through this, over the course of getting things set up, there was 10 individuals that responded to emails. We got them set up to go to the academy to take the PT test last week. Out of the 10, 3 showed up. And out of those 3, 1 was able to pass the POPS, the physical standard. So, that is a challenge. We've sit around, our command staff has talked about different ways to recruit. We want to look at more females. So we've brainstormed on that quite a bit, and minorities as well. So we have some things that we're going to move forward with, try to get people in. But we honestly believe with, when it gets closer to talk about the salaries and things like that, we will hopefully be able to draw other officers from maybe other surrounding agencies that are already sworn. So that will help us out getting officers out on the street a lot quicker, because now it's a year from the time we swear somebody in until they're able to go through training and be any good to us, versus if we get somebody that is sworn, you're looking at maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks max. You're welcome.
I did ask him, I said, how many women do we have on the force? And he said 2. And I said, African Americans, he answered 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, Latinx 3, and we have 2 Spanish-speaking officers, which is in great need in the city as well. And they are, as the chief said, doing a lot of brainstorming about how to increase those percentages. So I think that is very important. The other topic that we talked about quite a bit was police cameras. And we talked about this a bit in the last cycle, fiscal cycle. And I think it would be good to know that the general consensus of the chief is not to be against police cameras. We're trying to make that an equal priority with revenues, because as we have seen, if there's a camera, you have a protection for the police officers, and you also have protection for the citizens. But we also have a lot of fiscal strain right now, and I think it would be interesting for people to know that these cameras have to be high quality, they have to be consistent, they have to be recorded, they have to be downloaded, there has to be an administration to keeping them up to date and accurate and secure. And it would cost us $145,000 a year, but over 5 years, because that is the rental for the police cameras, it would be $748,000 out of our budget. That's a lot of money, but it's also a lot of security. So we are talking about it, and we are trying to, as the mayor said at the meeting, find a way to do both, recruit and afford new officers and get police cameras. How much, Chief, does it cost to upload? I was just at the fire committee and it's $100,000 approximately, $102,000 for every firefighter that we hire. What would that be for every police officer? Yeah, is it? Pretty close to the same. That's what I thought. So it's not a cheap thing, and I think it's good for the public to know that when we say, oh, let's just get 5 police officers, that's a recurring cost for the budget, and we're about to move into a new fiscal deliberations, and we're keeping all of this close. Todd, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Because we talked about a lot of things.
Let me jump in real quick. You're
Sure.
Using the terminology police cameras, you talking body cameras?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
There may be some differentiation.
Yeah, body cameras.
Okay.
No, you covered everything.
I have a question. Are they called flock cameras that
Yeah.
have they been talked about as well?
Yes. Chief, do you want to talk about the flock cameras?
I know Fayette County just
Put them
installed
up.
some.
Yep.
So the flock cameras would be a different type of camera. They are designed to catch data and things like that. It's more of an investigative tool. They're not monitored around the clock, so nobody's really monitoring them. The officer would get, way those work, officer gets a notification on his computer that there's a stolen tag. This came through in a vehicle, so that's what those are for. But there are cameras that you can put up on poles and intersections, similar to the ones in Fayette County. But again, you'd have to have somebody there to actually monitor it to see, or go back and look at it before it would really do us any good.
Would the person that did the body cameras could also be the one to do the flock cameras?
We don't monitor the flock cameras.
Oh, okay. But like downloading it or anything like that, the flock cameras are not the same?
No, they're not
Okay.
downloaded.
Thank you.
The flock cameras read license plates to catch people absconding from other jurisdictions and things like that. And they've been, I think you all have had some success with the
We've had a
ones,
lot
I
of
say you all,
success.
the cameras that they have placed in our jurisdiction have been able to catch folks who are out on warrant in other jurisdictions. So that, it's a pretty limited scope with those.
Okay.
And those are paid for by grants so
Right.
far between us, the sheriff's office, and I believe with Lexington.
Have we
So-
applied for a grant for any of those?
Yes, we have 5,
Okay.
and the sheriff's officer getting several more.
Okay.
Um,
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, have you looked at applying for a grant for the body cameras?
We have, I believe Captain Nash has that put together. I'm not sure how far. We actually got into that before the talks went other direction last time.
Chief, I'll speak to that a little bit. Captain Nash worked with Stacy on that issue, and that grant funding required the agency to have a complete policy in order to even apply. So Captain Nash started working on the policy, and I know I had a note after the police committee meeting to check in with him on the status of that policy, and I know he's keeping tabs on when that funding will become available again, so that if the policy can get in place in time, we could pursue that funding.
We're very close if we would need one. We looked at KLC and several other places to try to get one that would fit Georgetown. Some we got were 25 to 30 pages long for a policy, and that's just a lot, in our opinion. So we're trying to get one that would work better for us.
You guys looked at the county's policy?
Yes.
Might be something to review and duplicate or just compare.
Thank you, sir.
Willow, one thing we did forget, Mayor just reminded me that we are going to go out and actively pursue recruiting at not only colleges, but other learning institutions to try, and job fairs to try and lure in new candidates and try to get as many people involved in this. One of the biggest things that that these potential hires look at is is not the benefits package. It's what are you paying? What's the money? What am I going to make? And so that's, that's where we've got to really work and raise one up so we can attract those people in. So it's going to be, it's going to be a tough road to get that money up to really draw in new officers. So.
And also, to comment more on that, as the mayor and some of others, myself, we're going to go and really try to help with minority recruiting, like going to K-State and some of these other universities, and actually take an active role also to help with that. Because I think that's important that they know that the city is behind our police officers and that we are really aggressively trying to get people here. Okay, our fire. As you, Mr. Showalter, he was disappointed today, the chairman, so he didn't know that, but he was disappointed.
Lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. Mrs. Brent and I met with Chief Thompson, Fire Chief Thompson today. Mrs. Hambrick was in attendance at the meeting. The mayor was with us, and our city attorney was there as well. So we discussed quite a few items. I'll give you those items. So again, I don't want to, if I get anything wrong, you correct me, okay? Mrs. Brent and I agreed with the mayor and Chief Thompson that we were going to create a stipend for 3 positions for the remainder of this budget year, which ends on the last day of June. And we would look at that specific line item moving forward with the next budget year that starts on July 1st. We would look at it in our budget discussions as we proceed with this next budget. So in addition to the fact that Chief Thompson laid out his plan for creating a part-time maintenance person, one person that would move between the 3 fire stations at the present time and spend, perform tasks and upkeep that's needed at the present time. There's a little more involved. It's obviously our personnel ordinance would have to be updated to include that part-time person. But that's something that we all 3 are, granted, I know Mrs. Hambrick, you're not a member of the committee, but you were there with us. And, based on the discussion that we had with Chief Thompson and listening to the mayor, those 2 items were items that we felt like that we could address. Again, the stipend for the 3 positions for the remainder of this budget year, it's already in the budget, so we're not adding a cost. That cost is there through the remainder of all the way through the end of the June of this current year. So we're not creating an additional cost. And again, we did not commit beyond the end of June because we got to look at the budget, and the finance committee needs to be, as well as the entire council needs to be involved as we move forward the next budget year. We did have some preliminary discussion today on a 4th fire station. Obviously, we made no commitments today. We listened to information that was presented to us. There's still a lot of information that we need to get and gain from our finance director, as well as the 2 members of our finance committee, along with the mayor. So we did have some preliminary discussion on a 4th fire station, and then how many fire department personnel would be needed in order to staff that fire department. So again, we're in the very early stages. of that. So just wanted to, there's a lot of information that we still need. And again, that's going to come from our finance director along with the two members of our finance committee and the mayor. And then the last item that we talked about was the fact that I believe, Chief, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're 5 firefighters, 5 vacancies at the present time. So that's obviously an item, you know, as we're talking about the police department and staffing levels and recruitment. I think we also need to include the fire department in those talks as well. And maybe, you know, trying to think outside of the box on recruitment, just, you know, listening to all the different ideas. So, you know, again, it's not just the staffing at the police department, but it's also staffing at the fire department that we need to continue to work on.
And council, I've got, I'll send these out to you all, but Chief Thompson prepared 2 memoranda for both of those first 2 items. So the stipend that Mark is referring to is for 3 positions. It's not creating a new position. It's covered by vacancies. So the excess funding based on those 5 vacancies allows the mayor to make the unilateral decision in this case to provide that $5,000 stipend. That came to the committee because Mayor Jenkins thought it was important that it come to the committee to discuss, even though he's able to make that decision within the budget. The other decision will come back to the council with the support and recommendation of the fire committee as an advisory body, but the council will have to add that individual to the personnel ordinance for the part-time maintenance coordinator, which, as you all know, there's a lot of procurement requirements to jump through. There's a lot of maintenance associated with the equipment and buildings within the fire department, and all of that's outlined in that memo that I'll get to you. And on the engineers, I use this example so you all know how we use creative ways to incentivize leadership. As Chief Thompson said today, that stipend is a result of additional responsibilities and duties on a member of each shift that is tasked with engineering, with driving the vehicle, and the additional responsibilities and expertise that comes with that. So that's all outlined in the memo, but I did want to let you know that I think that's a great way that they're working on leadership advancement opportunities.
So just for clarification, you will be bringing a cost analysis report on that part-time position.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
I don't want to interrupt Sonia, but it might be good, Chief, if you could tell people where that fire station would potentially be in the city. And why it might need to be in that spot.
The location for the proposed fire station would be out near Lexus Way. It's right where Scott County EMS is building their headquarters. And we'll present the information to you guys as far as the reasons that we think that it could be beneficial for us to do this, just with them building and us being able to follow suit. But it's very close to where the child daycare, the credit union is at Toyota. It's right there across the road from there.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I can, if real quick, just to talk about those positions. I think that, and we had a great conversation the other day, Mr. Allen, just as far as different things that we could do to show efficiencies. And I do think this is a great way for us to do that with both of these positions, with the preventive maintenance. And this, for the particulars for the engineer position, it will be for the truck company. So the ladder company, we just have one ladder company in the city. It'll be that particular company. We'll do the engineers, and then we can definitely show you how we'll save money with the preventive maintenance person. Thank you.
Councilman Showalter, Councilman, y'all got anything else you want to add to that, or anybody else? Any questions?
That's all we have.
Okay, moving right along, we have our city attorney who's going to talk about resolution approving Georgetown Scott County Revenue Commission occupational license tax regulations.
Yes, you all will remember this was on your last agenda and we deferred it to this meeting. Mayor can speak to this, but there was one issue specifically about federal migrant worker program and a previous exemption that had been granted that was not reflected in the regulations. So the Revenue Commission took that back up and amended the version that they had previously approved. So the version in front of you all was unanimously approved, and the amendment was unanimously approved by the Revenue Commission, which is comprised of the mayor, the judge executive, and the superintendent of the school district.
Do you need a motion for that? Motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Motion carry. Next, we have the first reading of the amendment to the water and sewer rate ordinance. And the sponsors are Connie Tackett and Todd Stone.
An ordinance amending Georgetown Code of Ordinances, Chapter 40, Articles 3 and 4 regarding sewer and water rates. Summary 1, amends Georgetown Code of Ordinances, Chapter 40, Article 3, Section 40-378 to establish a schedule of sewer rates. 2, amends Georgetown Code of Ordinances, Chapter 40, Article 4, Section 494 to establish a schedule of water rates. 3, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Port Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Publicly introduced and read for the first time February 13th, 2023.
We've had a first reading. We have a motion to accept the first reading. Me too, okay. All right,
Mayor, could we have a moment of discussion on that? Is that fine?
yes, we can have discussion. Go
I've
ahead.
had a few people contact me wondering, in the presentation that the Water Board did, they had slides that showed the bottom line amount that was going to be on your bill, so that it would be clear how that would change the bill. But there were people who wanted it expressed, how much of a percentage that would be. And so I told them that I would mention the percentage increases, and we have people here from the water company who could add to this. If I'm misstating something, let me know, because you all have been, Chase, you've been the expert on this. But it would be 17% increase on bills the first year, 17 the second year, and then the next 3 years. Actually, it'd be 17, 17, 17, 3 or 6, 6, and 6. Is that correct? And obviously, those percentages would be compounded every year. And therefore, when you're figuring out your bill, if you want to do it by percentages, you would have to compound. If it's 17% one year, math experts know that you would have to take whatever that amount is and compound that with the 17% the next year. And over 6 years, that would be an increase of 84.7%, if I have my numbers correct. But I also want to say that this is, I believe, what David Lusby had originally worked on. I don't know if it's exact, but it's awfully close, Chase. Because we want to be fully transparent here in all that we're doing. And this is the first reading of this, so we want to bring these things to you at this time.
The percentages for each year, yes, that's correct. And this is based on the proposal that was made in December of 22. And I'll say it worked on by a number of people, but definitely a lot of input from former council member Lusby. And that was, instead of going to the bond market this year as anticipated, that we would pursue a bank note, a 5-year bank note that afforded us a number of benefits and flexibility that we discussed last Monday at the work session. And so that's what this current rate ordinance proposal is reflecting.
Thank you. And I'm going to read what's in the newspaper, because I think that this is a great benefit of what this new rate structure allows. And it's possibly going to, over the first 5 years of the note, The model has calculated interest savings of approximately $11 million over the previous rate structure. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, ma'am.
I find that to be a significant improvement. Kudos to you, Mr. Scoggins. And the rate structure financially achieves the revenue generation, the cash flow, and the debt service coverage that we need in order to move this forward. And so to delay further is to increase costs.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
And might I add just one more thing? It also does not include our future builder or homeowners or anything like that, right? Futuristic rate income.
No, ma'am, it does not.
Okay.
Does not factor in.
So that could be a
growth.
savings for us and maybe a rainy day fund, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And might I also say that the two egregious mistakes that were made cannot be denied. We're still in the investigative state with the state investigating. If they find anything, it would be moved up to, well, actually, we're in the examination state. If they find anything, I think it goes to the investigative state. But we have to do this. And the two mistakes that were made, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, are a significant but actually small part of all of the needs that we have currently, that if we don't do, we aren't going to be able to continue to have good, fresh, clean water and wastewater control.
Another correct statement.
So the mistakes, yes, added to this insult, but actually, when you look at it holistically, those two mistakes are actually a very small part of the entire needs that we have. Would that be accurate?
They are a part. I think they all present their significant impact, all the drivers of this current rate study and proposal. But as we showed in the financial analysis at the work session, they're not as big of a part as one might think when looking at the whole picture as you're discussing.
So, thank you.
Can I add just one more thing, please, Mayor? I would also like to address, we've been asked, why haven't we got a rainy day fund? Why didn't we raise rates, a little bit at a time? And for 12 years, we didn't. I just want to make for sure that everyone understands that when you came on board, you did bring us a 5-year plan that was very much needed, and it helped significantly. And you all did all of your due diligence to bring us rate study, rate structure, all of it, a lot of data. And the things that have happened was not the water company's fault. It was professional people that we believed in and trusted, and people are human and they do make mistakes. But I just want to say, Chase, you've done a really good job, and I appreciate the board. And when you see something wrong, you analyze it, you address it, and then you work toward fixing it. And I believe that that's what we've all worked to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Chase, Mayor, if I may. Chase, I just want to also point out on the presentation from last Monday night, the water rate, March of 25 will be 4150, up from the 2591.
That is correct.
That exists currently. I think two points to clarify here. That difference, you did the waterfall, which was really helpful. $3.38 of that is due to the rate calculation error. Had that error had not occurred, that would already be on your bill today. Is that right, Chase?
Had the rates been calculated correctly in 2019,
Yes.
you would have been seeing an increased amount starting
Yeah.
back in 2019.
Okay. And of the wastewater treatment plant one, the increased cost from 53 to 70 million was $3.05, correct?
That is correct.
And that's a total of $6.43 of the rate increase that we're seeing, just for those two factors.
That is correct for a monthly bill of 2,000 gallons
Correct.
or less.
Right, right. And to, I think this was a great presentation. that you did last Monday. I think it helped this council out considerably, and probably, from what I'm seeing, maybe members of the public. So I want to thank you, and thanks for everyone's work that they've done on this.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
I have, I don't know, comment or whatever, but as far as the senior discount rate, is 10%, is that the set amount that it's going to be, or can that be considered? I mean,
That's what I'm going to propose to the Board of
Propose to-
Commissioners.
yeah, I understand it has to be a rate increase. Believe me, I do. But my problem is, I'm just worried about everybody actually. I mean, I'm in the boat too. I mean, people living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I'm still concerned about, these single moms, single dads. Like I said, the people living paycheck to paycheck. We've got to have help for them too. And I'm glad the seniors are getting help, but I think the whole community may need help, So I just want us to try to work on finding other ways to help other people out too that may be affected with this. I mean, my concern is for my community.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
And
It's-
everything's going up, like they say, eggs and everything else. And we need the senior citizens to have help, but we need everyday hardworking people need help too sometimes. So we
Yes,
need to look into other ways to help them out too. That's all I got to say.
And also I want to comment that we're not going to give up on finding some other funding, outside funding. We're going to continue to work diligently to find out through some type of grant or some type of way, environmental, so we can help offset some of this cost. And if we are successful, that's going to help us even further down the road on this rate.
Yes, sir.
Chase, I want to say I do appreciate you showing this data in dollars and cents. I think most of us, when we get our bill, it's not in percentages, it's in dollars and cents. And it's easy now to go back and look to see each year how much that's going to increase. I do know that there are a lot of people that like to see percentages, but for me, I want to see dollars and cents, because as I'm thinking about my budget, that's how I can factor that in. So thank you for that activity. Please bring back information on, is the project on schedule, and is the cost on schedule? So
We are at your direction developing that anything related that we can related to purchase orders, contracts that we bring before the council, we will start including schedule information with that request for your consideration, and related to the bigger projects, especially wastewater plant 1, South Sewer Extension, and others that'll be coming in the future. Creating some type of documentation of major milestones that you can see and see the progress as we move through the different phases of the project. We looked at a very detailed breakdown at our office on the treatment plant. I don't think that's necessarily what you're looking for, but at least some, and that's what we have on every project. But I think at least significant milestones, especially for multi-year projects, we'll start including that. That's going to have to be developed. It's not going to happen immediately for every single project.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we're ready to move to the city engineer
Thank you, Mayor.
and a general project update, the TAP and CMAQ stormwater projects and cemetery wall, etc.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for letting me be up here and give you this presentation tonight. Part A is the general project updates. I asked the mayor if I could come up and just give you all a brief overview of where we are. Some of these projects have been going on for a number of years, and we've had some breakthroughs and some good things happen here recently. So I wanted to share a few things. The first one on your list is the TAP grant, Transportation Alternatives Project. That's through the Kentucky Department of Highways that we partnered with them on an 80-20 grant. We've completed the first phase, which is over the viaduct, redoing the sidewalks and the bridge. at Royal Springs. And then that's done, it's substantially complete. And we're going after phase 2 now, which is sidewalk improvements from that point where the water filtration plant is at Royal Springs out to Elizabeth Street, which is where some apartment buildings are and some townhomes and stuff like that. So the project would go from Royal Springs to Elizabeth Street in phase 2 if we are successful getting the grant. And you'll be asked to approve submitting the application for the grant tonight in a resolution that Devin prepared for you.
Could you give us a time frame of if we get that grant?
Yeah, yes. If we get it, you're looking at a 2 to 3 year. If we were to get it today, it'd probably be a 2-year time frame before we could go into construction. I have no way of predicting if we will get the grant, if we'll be successful, but our name will be in the hat if you all want it to be. And
So it'd mainly be sidewalks all the way to Elizabeth Street
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
from West Main.
Yes, from Royal
From the
Springs at the
bridge.
filtration plant.
Yep.
Going west to Elizabeth Street. That's what we're going after. So the second is the CMAQ. That stands for Congestion Mitigation Air Quality. That's for Cardinal Drive in front of the high school. We received news. We've bid the project twice. It was over budget. So we went back with your all's permission and asked for additional grant dollars. And we received word, the mayor received word this week that, that we got the additional money. So that's a good thing. We're going to be meeting later this week with our engineering team and some people with the state, some key people with the state to see about when we could set a bid date and bid the project. I'm hopeful that we can do construction when school lets out this year, but that's a tight window. But we're going to do our best to try to see if we can. There.
Can you talk about what is the specifics for that, for Cardinal Drive?
Yes, it's the Cardinal Drive, of course, has been in the morning and the afternoon has backed up with parent traffic, school buses. They've gone to the one-way system of sending cars in one way. So the project will address that by adding some turning lanes, widen the road. But it's one piece of the project because there's also a log jam on Long Lick Road, Highway 32, and on 25. So under a separate project, the state is doing a traffic analysis and study of 3 intersections surrounding there, 25 and 32, Cardinal Drive and 32, and then 25 and Cardinal Drive. So all 3 of those intersections that surround that area are being analyzed to see if they can put traffic circles in, roundabouts, and what makes sense. But that's under a separate project. That would not be a city project. It would be a state project. And so we would do road widening on Cardinal Drive only as a part of this project.
And Eddie, if I'm not mistaken in talking with them, is that the one on 32, the 3 or the circles,
Yes.
that's all be state funded. We don't have to pay anything. The state will take care of that.
That's correct. They're looking at that as a way to, they recognize all the growth out there with the new high school and all these other things coming in that they're going to have to do something out there as part of this. So that's TAP and CMAQ. There's a number of stormwater projects that we are in either completed or we're working on. One is at Royal Springs where we cleaned out the channel. That's done. We partnered with the water company on that one because they were doing some clean out work when we were having the drought conditions. The next one is at Clayton and Broadway. That's an engineering study that we all are well aware of. We're expecting to get a draft report from the engineering team in the next week or two to review, and then we'll be able to present something, some more information to you all at that time. We also have the Young Drive MLK drainage project that we're working on. That's being designed as some improvements to a low-lying area that's experienced some flooding over there that we're working on that one. So all those projects are being done. And I just wanted to make you all aware of them if you hadn't already heard about the projects. So, let's see, next on our list is cemetery wall. We are taking bids next week or on the 23rd. Is that right, Stacy? 23rd. For the cemetery wall to see how much that's going to cost to repair that section that fell down. And we're also going to get a price for you to replace the whole thing, just to see what that number would be if you decide to do that. We're also, let's see, that takes care of Part A. Part B is the resolution authorizing the application for the TAP grant for West Main Street. And we could go into taking a vote on that.
Yeah, you'll see in your packet, that is the same program. It's an 80-20 match with the state. These 80-20 programs give a good opportunity for us to fund some projects with as little local buy-in as possible from a budget standpoint. I don't have that number in front of me on the match. Okay, yeah, so we're looking at 442,000 in local match for that project for phase 2 with federal funding of 1.7 million. And if awarded, that would be allocated in the future budget. I think it would be the next budget, not a budget amendment. I don't think they turn around awards that quickly. So that's the local match for that project.
You're just giving us permission to apply, and that, again, that's the sidewalk grant from Royal Springs out to Elizabeth Street.
Do I have a motion?
Can I say something first, please? I want to tell you that I've talked to you several times and how much I appreciate. That's one of the reasons I ran again for city council.
Okay.
Was to work as hard as I could on phase 2 and then hopefully eventually phase 3.
Yeah.
But it's certainly one phase at a time. And I appreciate the work that was done on phase 1, but so looking forward to, and as you and I spoke, if you don't apply, you've got no chance. So 20% on the city versus what their 80%, if we can qualify for that and we can be in the running for that, that would be wonderful. So I just wanted to thank you for the work.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, are there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mayor.
A second? Motion made and properly second. Are there questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say likewise. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all. The next, moving on to Part C, also, we're doing the Bourbon Street project. That's a stormwater project. We're taking bids. Those bids will be back on the February 23rd, and we'll evaluate the bids and bring them back to the council for your all's consideration and approval. So that's another stormwater project that we have coming up. I forgot to mention the lighting on state roads. I think you all are well aware of, there's about 9 intersections out 460 east towards Paris, that each intersection will receive some street lighting. That is an improvement to the dark areas out in that part of the city. There is a little bit of a hiccup I wanted to make you all aware of, is it's looking 27 to 28 more weeks because they can't get light poles that are metal. And so that's something that we've been talking about internally. And so it's going to be a little bit longer before we get those installed out there. Let's see, next on the list is the Walmart 111 Osborne Way. That's over by Walmart. We had a storm drainage failure out there where the pipe collapsed under the road. And we did a camera analysis of the line, and it's needs to be replaced. And so we're going to be taking bids, competitive bids, to see what the cost of that replacement will be. In the interim, we've had to block off a section, a driveway going into one of the outlots, shopping strip malls, to prevent the public from going in there just for safety. We had a big hole and just filled it up with gravel to stabilize the area temporarily until we can get it excavated out and repaired. It is going to be it's a very deep pipeline. It's about 15 feet in the ground, so it's going to be a big
much larger construction zone than we normally have on a project of this type. So I will warn you about that. So we're working on bids for that replacement to fix that situation. And
Eddie, do
we
you
also-
want me to speak to how the municipal order reads since it's a little different?
Yes, thank you. We have a
Okay.
municipal order.
Yeah, so he worked quickly to get bid documents together. But you'll know this is a high traveled area and quite a situation. So in order to, our procurement requirements provide for a 7 to 21 day bid period. So we went with a 7-day bid period, and knowing that we want to move as quickly as possible, what we've asked council to do is approve a maximum dollar amount. I mean maximum. This number was selected based on Eddie working with people in the industry to understand what the cost could be. So we wanted to put that maximum amount and ask the council to authorize the mayor to move forward with the contract with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder in order to expedite that process. Like I said, that is the absolute maximum amount. If there was any situation outside the norm, we would still bring it back to the council, but the goal would be that we can move forward with those repairs before the next council meeting. And then we would bring a contract to you all to ratify at that point.
Need a motion, Mayor?
Yeah, motion.
I'll motion.
Are there a second? It's motion has been made and properly second. Are there questions?
You have another question. Are there other intersections that are dark that need additional lightings? Do you have a schedule or anything, or?
How about if I just read down the ones that are going to get done on this one, and then.
Is it a really long list?
There's about 9 of them.
Okay.
If you don't want me to, I won't.
No.
It is kind of.
It's a good reminder for everybody that
Yeah.
these are the areas.
Can you send it out?
Yeah, can y'all go ahead and vote on that motion first?
Oh,
And
sorry,
then,
Gavin, thank you. Keeps me on my toes.
Let's try this again. So motion has been made, properly second. Are there questions? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. The motion carries.
My apologies, Mayor. Real quickly, the lighting on state roads project is the bypass in 460. That's Rural King and the Texas Roadhouse. 25 and 32, that intersection. The bypass in 460E east, and then Scotland Drive and 460 east. East Dover and 460 east. 460 east in Fairmont, Windermere, Elkhorn Green, and Rocky Creek. So basically 460 going out east towards Paris is the stopping at each intersection and lighting those up is the project. Yes, there probably are a lot of other areas that need lighting, and we can work on a project in the future. Mayor, that's all I had.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we have,
Eddie, can I ask Eddie a quick question, just as
Yeah.
follow up to Mr. Allen's question on the street lighting?
Yeah.
Can you explain what the issue is so the council members, everybody knows
Sure,
exactly what the
sure.
issue is?
Yes, a decision was made a number of months ago by the previous council to not use wood poles for the lighting. They selected an underground option to use metal poles, just standard aluminum metal poles, which drove up the cost of the project, but the council elected to do that. And now we're finding out there's a back order, a backlog of the metal poles. And so we could do one of two things. We could just stick with the metal poles and wait, or we can go back and ask if the lead time is a lot shorter if you wanted to relook at the wood poles instead of the metal poles. And that would totally be, a council decision.
okay, next on the item is the finance, first reading of the budget amendment ordinance. Sponsor is Greg Hampton and Alonzo Allen.
Good evening. The budget amendment hasn't really changed from what I presented at the last meeting in January. And I will just very quickly go through again. In your packet, you have several documents related to this, memos, the official ordinance, but the easiest thing to look at is kind of just the breakdown by fund. And the only thing that changed on the budget amendment is initially I had listed the entire health insurance plan increases under the general fund. So I did break those out because some go in dispatch, some go in cemetery, and then I showed those additional contributions being added to our medical self-insurance fund. So those were the only changes that I made. But again, there are several previously approved items on here. We're increasing our revenue estimates for property tax, occupational licenses, the health insurance increases, the fire department. There's a memo for the two things they're requesting, vehicle maintenance and the cancer screening for firefighters. Public Works has several operating line items that need increases to get through the end of the year. And then you'll see some transfers to other funds to cover some costs there that are explained in those funds, and some updates on a couple of grants once we received our actual funding numbers on the grants. Again, dispatch, the only change there was the health insurance, the grant fund, updating those. Those are all fairly self-explanatory, previously approved things that we have discussed. The ARPA fund, we discussed previously that we had to add a little bit of extra money for the bids on the 2 fire trucks that we had done and council previously accepted. Most of that is still covered by ARPA, with about $8,800 being covered by the general fund for the 2 fire trucks. The cemetery, the medical insurance, that's just the increases that we talked about. And again, capital projects fund is the city's portion of the change orders. So if you have any other questions, I would be happy to answer those. And again, this would cover activity through about the beginning of this month. And then we'll do a final amendment in June to catch any new business between now and the end of the year.
So I think at this time, Madam Clerk, we have to read first reading.
An ordinance amending the annual budget ordinance for fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. Summary. General fund, prior year revenues are increased by $485,042.25. Property tax revenues are increased by $100,000. Occupational license fee revenue is increased by $500,000. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $10,766. General government expenses are increased by $20,610.28. City clerk expenses are increased by $10,728.90. City council expenses are increased by $3,254.55. Building inspection expenses are increased by $14,561.23. Police expenses are increased by $592,629.07. Fire expenses are increased by $205,122. Code enforcement expenses are increased by $6,970.95. Public Works expenses are increased by $202,301.03. Transfers to other funds are increased by $39,630.25. 911 Dispatch Fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $30,390. Dispatch expenses are increased by $60,780. Grant Fund. Local grant revenue is increased by $25,000. State Grant Fund is increased by $185,447.93. Federal grant revenue is increased by $204,202. Police expenses are increased by $276,549.93. Fire expenses are increased by $29,100. Community service expenses are increased by $109,000. ARPA Fund. Federal grant revenue is increased by $122,393.75. Transfers from other funds are increased by $8,887.25. Fire expenses are increased by $131,281. Cemetery Fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $3,493. Transfers from other funds are increased by $3,493. Cemetery expenses are increased by $6,986. Medical Self-Insurance Fund. Transfers from other funds are increased by $495,511. Medical plan expenses are increased by $495,511. Capital Projects Fund. Transfers from other funds are increased by $27,250. Capital expenses are increased by $27,250. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Publicly introduced and read for the first time, February 13th, 2023.
Thank you. Next, from Human Resources, the municipal order approving update.
So the attorney from the Kentucky League of Cities that worked with me to write this handbook had a family emergency and she couldn't be here tonight. She asked that we postpone this to the second meeting in February, if that suits the council. Okay, perfect.
Next, we have first reading of the personnel ordinance adding police officer, PD, and adjusting schedule of compensation sponsored by Alonzo Allen and Greg Hampton.
So this is that same police position that we've had on the personnel ordinance for the gun crimes police officer. And then the reason we are needing to increase grade 11, you hear us talk a lot about people taking on extra responsibilities. Right now, we are doing the same amount of work with less at the moment. So the city attorney has taken on many of the responsibilities that the CAO was handling for us. So the mayor would like to be able to increase her compensation for those additional duties, and that would require us to increase the maximum of grade 11 by $11,000.
An ordinance amending Section 2-111 of the Code of Ordinances to add one police officer and adjusting the schedule of compensation pay grade 11 maximum value. Summary. 1, amend Section 2-11 subsection C of the Code of Ordinances to add one police officer. 2, adjust the schedule of compensation to increase the pay grade 11 maximum to $117,000. 3, provides for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read for the first time, February 13th, 2023.
Megan,
Yes.
just for clarification purposes, because we've had several first readings on this item.
Mhm.
The information's technology
The public
person
information
that we were
officer.
going to try to create back in January, just for clarification purposes, because I've been asked by multiple people, that is going to go away, correct?
At this point in time, there's no interest in creating that position. As I'm sure you can imagine, with the new mayor, new members of council, and then an 8-body council, after we present things to council, lots of times there are conversations that folks want to come and have with the mayor. Things they like, things they don't like, things they'd like to see done a different way. So he is reacting to what you're saying and listening to those ideas, and I think trying his best to bring the best outcome to you. So this is the one he's settled on at the moment. If he'd like to say any more about it, I'll hush, let him do that.
Well, and I apologize. I wasn't trying to insult anybody. I just, for clarification purposes. So that position at the present time is going away.
Correct.
We're not,
We're not asking to create it.
and then we're going to keep at the present time the chief administrative officer position open.
Correct.
Can I make a procedural comment on that? Once an ordinance comes for first reading, it can always come back for second reading, but ordinances have to come to the council through a legislative body member. So if the former sponsors of the ordinance no longer want that action and aren't willing to sponsor it for the council, that's kind of why it's not before the council again. I mean, once there's first reading, it always comes for second reading as long as there's one council member at least who wants second reading. So just the procedural piece of that.
Any other questions on that?
I do have one question. No, so we're increasing $11,000 for which grade?
Grade 11.
Grade 11.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Police Department Municipal Order approving surplus.
Motion, Mayor.
We have a motion. Second.
Second, Mayor.
We have are there questions? So we have a motion, properly second, no questions. All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say likewise. Motion carried. Next, we have council comments, and I'm going to start at the end with Councilwoman Tackett.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I think everybody did a really good job presenting everything. I do want to just make one comment that was in our packet. I would like to ask Chief Thompson to come up and talk to us about Citizens Fire Academy. That's something that the public can do. The applications are on our website. So if you don't mind, Chief.
One of the ways, you were talking up here about ways to get involved, one of the ways the community can get involved with the Georgetown Fire Department is the Citizens Fire Academy. We started this back, I think it was 2018-19 was our first year. With COVID, we ran a couple classes, and with COVID, we had to stop for a little bit just for safety. We're gearing back up. Assistant Chief Seth Johnson, he's doing a great job with getting that going. The way it'll work, it'll be Tuesday nights from 6 to 8. It'll run for 6 weeks. The tentative start date right now is March 7th, but some of the classes I got right here, it's fire science and fire investigation. You can get CPR certified, Swiftwater and ropes class, aerial operations. You get to cut up a vehicle with the Jaws of Life, and station tours and fire prevention. So it's just a great way to see the things that we do. And we ask and would love to have every one of you all on there, any that you can, but also for the community as well. So thank you, Ms. Tackett.
Do we
Thank
get to
you,
drive the
Chief.
truck?
That would be a no. I just wanted to, I want to express that I've done Citizens Police Academy and Citizens Fire Academy, and it really does give you an insight as to exactly what our firefighters and our police department does do. It's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. So that's really all I wanted to say, and thank you very much, Mayor.
Councilman Allen.
I want to say thank you to everyone that showed up tonight, and thank you for those that spoke, and thank you for those that didn't speak, but maybe wanted to, and we'll speak next time. We're working hard on a lot of difficult projects. There's a lot of work that's going on throughout the weeks, and I just want to stress and emphasize to the water company, please keep eyes on it, because we can't have any hiccups. We can't have anything like this happen again. This is a setback for our community. It has broken some trust in our community. We're working hard to restore that trust. And I know that your group is working hard as well. So please continue to watch it very carefully. It's not just the water company, it's everything that we do. We have to double check the things that we're doing. So thanks again for you guys coming out. And for those that want to get involved, we need to create some opportunities for people to get involved and get engaged. So, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Hampton.
Again, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out. I mean, your opinion really does matter to us, and we're trying to do everything we can to involve you as much as we can. With that being said, myself, along with Councilman Allen from the Finance Committee, we got a lot of work coming up, with the budget preparation. The whole council is going to be involved, as well as, input from, hoping from the community to get everyone involved in doing that, because this is just not the council and the city's budget. This is your budget as well. And we need to remember that this is, we're stewards of taxpayer money. So that's something that we need to, to keep in mind as we go into this process. The last thing I have, and this is in regards to the Republic meeting that we had on January 17th of this year. I'm hearing some echoes that things are not getting done as Republic has promised. A couple instances of people setting couches out, actually calling for pickup. They come by and they will not pick them up because too heavy or whatever. And I do remember in this meeting on this date that they told us if they get a call that's if something's too heavy, they will come back out with extra people to pick that up. So they are refusing to do that now. So I think by, the next meeting, I would like to see an update as to where we're at with that. I did see a post about the AB week for the recycling. That's good. We haven't heard anything on the app as far as I'm concerned. I downloaded it and it's not working. You have to have like an account number for the city. That has not been pushed out yet. We need to get that pushed out. We made a commitment to everyone in Georgetown that this would be fixed, and it's still stagnant right now. We need to get it going. So as soon as we can get that information, I think we owe it to, to everyone that we give an update next time and to see where we're at with Republic. Thank you.
Greg, I do have a note to address the bulk item issue. So under the one bulk item per week pickup, the guidelines provide a 75-pound limit. But I'm going to ask that question because the advertisement does say we'll pick up couches, we'll pick up mattresses. It lists a bunch of things, and intuitively you would think that most couches are more than 75 pounds. So I've got a note to address that issue and work on the communication there. And if it is outside of that bulk item 75-pound limit, what are the steps? And those steps might include an additional cost. I don't know, but the information has to be available. So I'll get that to you.
Thank you, Deb.
And something else, Greg, I have a monthly conference with them, conference call. So I think it's coming up to 27. So hopefully I'll have some information to share with you at that next meeting. Okay.
Just to follow up on the Republic, I've had 2 or 3 calls this week as well, and thank you to the public. We are at your service, and when you call us, we do try to follow up on your needs. And the 3 calls I've had is that people are following behind the Republic trucks and trash is flying out of them. So if you could put that on your list when you talk to them, that would be terrific. This is a work in progress, obviously. I met with Stacy Clark and went entirely through a check register with her. I don't know, probably was in there an hour and 20 minutes. And she's amazing. She can explain. I thought it was time to just go through every line item and find out exactly what that money was going for and how it was being spent. And it was very informative. And I just appreciate the professionalism that you give to our city very much. Went to the legislative breakfast. Many of the city council members were there. I think it's important for our city to have a statewide presence. We get a lot of cooperation from our representatives, whether you voted for them or not. They hold a lot of the purse strings, and they're in session right now. And if you feel like you have things that you want them to advocate for or bills that you want them to pass, there is an open phone line, and they do read their emails. So just like advocacy is here is important, they want to hear from Georgetown folks. So give them a call and hold them accountable as well. We need to keep, as we're doing these fiscal things, and I know that we do have this elephant in the room of the city hall renovation. And in light of everything else, I said this at the last council meeting, we need to be very judicious and very careful about how we move forward with that. We may need to have a work session just focused on that. What essentially needs to be done to structurally, mold-wise, water-wise, get that building so that it can be saved. But, what can we not do at this point to keep us from spending money we might not need to spend at this point. So I advocate for that. And the police academy, is that spring session application over with already? It's still open until when? Okay, and I'm not going to be able to go until the fall session, but I would suggest that if you're interested in seeing how the police work day to day and what they're involved in, to sign up and apply for the police academy. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Stone.
Great meeting, and that's all I've got. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Councilwoman Brent.
I'm going to follow. I don't have anything tonight.
Councilman Conway.
I am very, very happy to be on Public Works and anxious to talk to Republic and try to hold them accountable and educate some of the citizens and educate Republic on what we will put up with and what we won't. So, and I'm looking forward to helping Robert Bruin with Public Works in any way he needs my help.
Councilman Showalter.
Mayor, I do want to add a positive for Republic. I actually had a community leader say that they have not had any issue with their trash pickup. I just wanted to say that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, there's parts of the city that they do a good job, but I do know that there's issues that need to be handled. And I look forward to working with Robert as well and Millie. And we'll get with Public Works. We'll have a meeting out of our hand, won't we, Millie?
Yes, we
And to
will.
add to Connie's point, I do feel you triggered a memory here that I needed to share. Mayor Jenkins has made it a priority to work with Republic, and obviously that's an ongoing conversation. We do have a lot of good feedback from Republic engaging with citizens. Of course, we don't hear that, and zero complaints is the goal. So, but I did get a story from a Republic representative from last week on that really windy day that an elderly woman was chasing her. The can was empty at this point, and it just was down the road. And so one of their employees ended up having to help her get the can, but then she couldn't like walk to her house. So he ended up like holding hands with her and walking her to her door.
Aw,
So
sweet.
it doesn't excuse anything, but I do want to say that I think they are trying to be a good community partner, and they'll keep hearing from us until we're satisfied with the level of service.
I didn't in no way mean, that, negativity, but I think there's just issues there that we still need
Absolutely.
to address. And that's why I brought that up.
Oh, yeah, we can have the positive with the negative, for sure. And I do want to address City Hall as well. It is something that I'm inclined to do a workshop as well, but I would also like to ask if we could have maybe another update to update the council, the new council, as to the engineers and those people that we've hired to give us information and put that together in numbers, that it would be good for the rest of the council to hear that as well, if we could schedule that.
Yeah, I'll give a very surface level update on that. Actually, bids came in late last week. The architects and construction managers met with me, Stacy, the whole team just via Zoom this morning, just to do like a preliminary discussion. And I know a work session has been mentioned. And I'm going to work on getting that on the books for early March. So
Maybe they can come to that then,
what's that?
the construction managers and engineers.
Yes, they would be coming to
would
the
be
work
good.
session.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And I let them know that the council would expect them to be there presenting.
Thank you, Devin.
Yep.
Any other council comments? If there's no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion been made, second. All those in favor said aye.
Aye.
All opposed?